Gopi Janaballabha Giridharadhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janaballabha Giridharadhari Gopi Janaballabha Giridharadhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nitai Gaur Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaur Haribo. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Srila Prabhupada. Gaur Premanande. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Daivim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat Nasta Praeshu Vabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Now, we're reading Srimad Bhagavatam. This is Canto 5, Chapter number 14, entitled Chapter 14. The material world as a great forest of enjoyment. Text number 28. So it's in prose, so I'll just read the word meaning. Kwapi, somewhere. Deva Maya, by the influence of the illusory energy. Striya, in the form of one's girlfriend or wife. Bhujalata, by beautiful arms, which are compared to tender creepers in the forest. Upagodha, being deeply embraced. Raskana, lost. Viveka, all intelligence. Vijnana, scientific knowledge. Yat vihara, for the enjoyment of the wife. Griha aramba, to find a house or apartment. Akula hridaya, whose heart becomes engrossed. Tat, of that house. Ashraya avasakta, who are under the shelter. Sutta, of sons. Duhitra, of daughters. Kalatra, of the wife. Vasita avaloka, by the conversations and their beautiful glances. vichesita, by activities, aparata, hridaya, whose consciousness is taken away, atmanam, himself, ajita, uncontrolled, atma, whose self, apare, in unlimited, ande, blind darkness, tamasi, in hellish life, prahinoti, he hurts. Translation. Sometimes the conditioned soul is attracted by illusion personified, his wife or girlfriend, and becomes eager to be embraced by a woman. Thus, he loses his intelligence as well as knowledge of life's goal. At that time, no longer attempting spiritual cultivation, he becomes overly attached to his wife or girlfriend and tries to provide her with a suitable apartment. Again, he becomes very busy under the shelter of that home and is captivated by the talks, glances, and activities of his wife and children. In this way, he loses his Krishna consciousness and throws himself in the dense darkness of material existence. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. When the conditioned soul is embraced by his beloved wife, he forgets everything about Krishna consciousness. The more he becomes attached to his wife, the more he becomes implicated in family life. One Bengali poet, Bankim Chandra, says that to the eyes of the lover, the beloved is always very beautiful, even though ugly. This attraction is called Deva Maya. The attraction between man and woman is the cause of bondage for both. Actually, both belong to the Para Prakriti, the superior energy of the Lord. But both are actually Prakriti, female. However, because both want to enjoy one another, they are sometimes described as Purusha or male. Actually, neither is Purusha, but both can be superficially described as Purusha. As soon as man and women are united, they become attached to home, hearth, land, friendship, and money. In this way, they are both entrapped in material existence. The word Bhujalata Upagudha, meaning being embraced by beautiful arms, which are compared to creepers, describes the way the conditioned soul is bound within this material world. The products of sex life, sons and daughters, certainly follow. This is the way of material existence. Om Jnanatimirandasya Dhyananjana Shalakaya Chaksurunmilitanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Bandeham Shri Guru Shri Yata Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sakrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajevam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishaka Nitamscha He Krishna Karana Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavan Ishwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kaupa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we're hearing about the description of the material world and how in the material world everyone wants to enjoy. And the most basic form of enjoyment in the material world comes from the opposite sex. We become attached to the other sex and we want to enjoy the other sex. The man wants to enjoy the woman wants to enjoy the man. There is a principle of material existence. So Srila Prabhupada helped us to understand these things by some nice examples. Some are given in Srimad Bhagavatam and some from stories or anecdotes which he would narrate. One of the nice examples which he narrated was entitled Truth and Beauty. And Prabhupada is discussing if truth and beauty are actually compatible. You know, we were hearing in the purport there, Prabhupada was quoting some poet, Bengali poet, how he thinks the other person is beautiful, but they may not actually be beautiful. But in the eyes of some person, they're beautiful. So what is truth? It may be beautiful, it may not. Not all truth is beautiful. There are certainly many things in the world which are true, but they're not beautiful. And something may be beautiful, but it may not be true. It may not be true for very long, that is. It may appear beautiful. So beauty is a relative thing, but there is on the spiritual platform, we can say on the spiritual platform, truth and beauty are compatible. If we come to the spiritual platform, then the real beauty, of course, is there in the soul. It is not that the beauty is in the material flesh, because the flesh of the body is very temporary. And the flesh will wither and dry up. But the soul is eternal, full of knowledge and bliss. And certainly the soul is also beautiful. So Srila Prabhupada, in discussing the compatibility between beauty and truth, he went on to narrate the story about the young lady who was very beautiful. She had a very attractive physical body. And somehow some lusty man became attracted to her and desired to enjoy her. And he approached her requesting her to enjoy with him. And the woman was shocked, but the woman was very intelligent. And so she told the man that, you want to enjoy me? He said, just give me 1 week and come back after 1 week and you can enjoy me. So the man thought, oh, all right, I can wait 1 week. I will come back after 1 week. And for 1 week, that young lady, she took doses of purgatives and laxatives, and she vomited and passed loose stool, and she collected all of the substances which she was vomiting and passing. She collected all of these things in pots, and she kept them carefully. And after 1 week, that young woman, who was initially very physically attractive, she became very thin, she was emaciated, and her eyes were hanging out of the sockets, and she looked very ugly, actually. She lost all of her beauty by taking all of these different medicines. So after 1 week, the lusty, foolish man came back, and he saw this frail, emaciated woman. He could not recognize her. And he said, where is that beautiful woman, the attractive one, the very good-looking young lady? And the lady said, oh, that is me. And he said, what? That's you? He could not believe, And she said, yes, I'm the one. You wanted to enjoy me? Then he said, then where is your beauty? What happened to your beauty? And she said, oh, I've kept it for you. Let me show you. And she brought the young man to see her beauty, which was all there in the form of all the things which had come from her body, the loose stool and the vomit, and it all had a disgusting smell, and there was no beauty in it at all. And she told the man, this is my beauty. So in this way, the man got a very good lesson about the beauty of the material body. So we have to understand there is beauty in the material world, but that beauty has to be seen on the spiritual platform. We have to understand the real beauty is in the soul. Just like when a person dies, nobody loves the dead body. When the dead body, you just want to be away from it. You don't like to touch it even. Why? Because the soul has gone. The real beauty which is there in the living body has gone in the dead body. So there is beauty, but that beauty is spiritual. So Srila Prabhupada narrated this kind of example to all of us very graphically to help us to understand the nature of beauty. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, we're given also many different examples about the foolishness of trying to enjoy the material body. One of the examples, which is very interesting, comes in the 11th canto, where Maharaj Yadu Maharaj had met a Brahmana, and this Brahmana was very detached from the material world. And Maharaj Yadu was wondering, how is it this Brahmana is so detached from the material world? Because he's a young man, and he's healthy, and he's good-looking young man, and he could definitely enjoy the material world. Why is it he's so renounced? So Maharaj Yadu approached this Brahmana, and he asked the Brahmana how it was he had managed to become so detached. So then the Brahmana began to narrate to him about different gurus, and how these different gurus had all enlightened him about the nature of the material world. And one of the interesting gurus who he mentions was a person called Pingala. He tells the story of Pingala. Now, this lady Pingala, her profession was actually a prostitute. And he tells the story, the Brahmana tells about Pingala, how Pingala actually desired to get money from people. And she desired to have loving exchanges with so many different men and take their money. And so the story goes that Pingala was out there one night, and she was standing there, and she would look at the different men coming, and she would think, oh, this man, he's got a lot of money. He could give me a lot of money. He will help me. But then the man walked past her, didn't take any interest in her. And then another man came, and again she's thinking, oh, this man, definitely, he's got money. He will want to enjoy me. He will like to have love with me. But then the man also ignored her, didn't take any interest in her. So one after another, the different men came and walked past, and they ignored her, did not take any attention. So in this way, Pingala was becoming more and more frustrated and disappointed. And finally it came to midnight, and gradually there was no more men. So what did Pingala do? She became detached from the whole situation. She had undergone so much thought of enjoying. She was so foolish. She was thinking that she could have a loving exchange with men who were actually of the lowest character. You can understand any men who go to prostitutes that they're of a very low character. And Pingala was actually thinking she was having love, making love with them and enjoying, and at the same time getting their money. So it was the whole situation was very foolish. But this woman Pingala, by the arrangement of the Lord, she did not get any customer, and she was completely frustrated. No one took any interest in her. But she was fortunate because she became detached from the whole situation. There is all the attachment brought about detachment because she could not get what she wanted. So eventually she just gave up the thought of trying to enjoy, and she became detached from everything. And she understood that actually the Lord is very kind to her, that He's arranged for her to become detached from this. Initially, she was foolish, and she was thinking that she would enjoy, and that the men would enjoy her, and she would enjoy the men and get their money. But eventually she understood the Lord had been very kind to her by not sending any man to enjoy her. And in this way, she gave up all thought of enjoying the material world, and she focused her attention on the Supreme Lord. She understood the person who really loves her is the Lord, and the Lord had arranged for all of her suffering to bring about her purification and to detach her from the material world. All of her sinful activities were all stopped by the grace of the Lord. And in this way, Pingala found peace of mind and she satisfied herself. She gave up all her desires for sinful activity and she focused her attention on the Supreme Lord. She understood that the person who really loves her is the Lord. And he had put her into this situation and he allowed her to try to enjoy. Now he was causing her to become detached from everything. So like this, Srimad Bhagavatam is describing to us in many ways how we can become detached from material sense gratification. You have to live in the material world and people are expected to marry. You're expected to have a husband or a wife. But we have to understand that that purpose of marriage is not just for sense gratification, but is for gradually detaching ourselves from the material world. And there's a nice example of this, which comes in Srimad Bhagavatam, the example of Maharaj Yayati. Now Maharaj Yayati, he had an encounter with a young woman. What happened was there were two young ladies, Sharmista and Devayani. And Sharmista was the daughter of a Kshatriya, and Devayani was the daughter of Sukracharya, a Brahmana. So it happened that one day the two girls fought with each other. You know, it's not uncommon for women to fight with each other. And this one girl, Sharmista, she knocked Devayani into the well. And she knocked her into the well naked because the two of them were bathing and somehow Devayani had taken cloth which was not hers. And that caused their argument and it ended up with Sharmista knocking Devayani into a well, naked. So and then Sharmista went away and left her in the well. But after some time, this Maharaj Yayati came by. He was on a hunting expedition and he went to get some water from the well and he was surprised to find a beautiful woman, young woman in the well naked. And naturally, he became attracted to her, seeing the beauty of her physical form. He became attracted to her, and the two of them got attached to each other. Although Devayani was the daughter of a Brahmana and Yayati was a Kshatriya, it was not a very good combination. But they went to Sukracharya and they got permission. Sukracharya told Yayati, you can take my daughter for a wife, but condition, be faithful to her. Don't get involved with other women. Of course, that's a difficult thing for a Kshatriya king to do. Yayati was a Kshatriya king. And it was also arranged that Sharmista, who had put Devayani into the well, because she'd done that, she was made the servant of Devayani. And she had to go and be a maidservant in the home of Devayani. So Devayani got married and Sharmista went as her servant. So Maharaj Yayati, he was enjoying Devayani, but then he got involved with the other woman as well, because Sharmista was there. And when the other girl got pregnant, then Devayani was very upset. And she went back to her father and she told her father, my husband has been unfaithful to me. So Sukracharya was upset and he cursed Yayati to become old. So this was very painful for Yayati, the thought of becoming old. So he appealed to the father he told Shukracharya, you know, if you curse me to become old, it will ruin our marriage. I won't be able to satisfy your young daughter. She's a young woman, and she will want me to satisfy her. And if I'm old, I won't be able to do it. So Shukracharya thought about it, and he said, well, you can transfer your old age to one of your sons. If one of your sons will accept your old age, then you can transfer that curse to him. So Yayati went to his sons and he requested his sons, could you help me please take my old age? You know, that's not a very easy thing to do. Would you like to become old? You know, do you think if you have a young son, will they agree to take your old age? It's very unlikely. So Yayati, anyway, he asked his sons, and the sons, they had different reasons, different excuses. One of them said, I want to renounce later on. If I don't enjoy now, I won't be able to renounce later on. So then he came to the youngest son. The youngest son was called Puru. And Puru told the father, all right, yes, I will take your old age, father. And Puru actually apologized. He said, I'm sorry. He said, if I was a better son, I would have offered. You would not have had to ask me. Ideally, we should understand the father's desire. You should not have to ask. The father should not have to ask. The son himself should want to offer. So Yayati gave his old age to Puru. And in this way, Yayati could continue to enjoy with his different wives, like Devayani and Sharmista and these other ladies. So Yayati enjoyed for a long time. But after enjoying for a long time, he became disgusted. He understood that this enjoyment of the body is foolish and temporary, and he wanted to give it all up. And at that time, Yayati told his wife a story. He told his wife a story about two goats. And he said, you know, it happened, one female goat fell into a well. And somehow the male goat came, and the male goat got the female goat out of the well, and the two goats fell in love with each other, and they enjoyed mating with each other for a long time. But after some time, the male goat also gave up the female goat. He realized that this is not the goal of life. So Yayati was explaining to his wife that he and his wife were like two goats. Just like two goats become attached to each other. The same way, a man and a woman become attached to each other. And they enjoy each other physically, sexually. But after some time, they become disgusted, or they become frustrated, and they want to give it up. So the Vedic culture is like that it's understood that after being trained in brahmachari life, then you can go into householder life. Now, if one is fortunate and is properly trained in brahmachari life, then he can make a good grihasta, and he will not become overwhelmed with the sense gratification which is available in family life. Women also have to be trained to enter into family life. They have to be trained to control their senses and to control their tongue. Women often speak very harsh words, painful words, which are very upsetting to men. So it's difficult sometimes in family life, living together, a man and a woman. They're not properly trained. Krishna consciousness is to train people to enter into family life. But we know most of the world today are not trained, and they enter into family life and they have difficulties. And there's a lot of fighting and quarreling. Anyway, eventually they get older, and then one should retire from family life. That is successful family life. When you move on into the vanaprastha, the retired stage of life. So, we're not meant to work in jobs all of our life. At a certain point, the Vedas say, Pancha Sordvam Vanam Brajit. From the age of 50, one should prepare to move into the forest, to move into the next ashram. Certainly by the age of 50, it's unlikely you're going to be able to produce any more children, or you're not going to be able to do a lot of work physically. But we can take up spiritual duties, and one is expected to change from material occupation to spiritual occupations. So that is successful grihastha life. So Yayati, he understood that he should move on. He'd been enjoying physical relationships with his wives for a long time. Now he'd had enough. He got disgusted with it, and he wanted to move on. And with the help of his wife, the two of them went on to become enlightened and to achieve success in their spiritual practice. So that is real family life. The husband and the wife, they can move on into the retired ashram where they devote themselves fully to the worship of the Supreme Lord. And they become detached from all of the material situations. They're no longer thinking about children and home and money. And instead they're thinking about service, devotional service for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. So that is real human life. When we follow that kind of system, we prepare ourselves to enter into the later stages of life. Vanaprastha, retirement from the material occupation and fully engaging in spiritual occupations. So this is Krishna consciousness. And Prabhupada expected like that people, as they get older, they will come to Krishna consciousness and they will want engagement. They will want to do service for the Lord. So Krishna conscious temples are there. Everyone, as they get older, they should come and they should offer themselves to be engaged in the service of Lord Krishna. This is the thinking of our devotees. We want to engage people in the service of Krishna. For so long, for so many lifetimes, we've just been serving the senses, and we've never been satisfied. We never found any real happiness. The real happiness is there, and it is not in the senses, but it is in the soul. When we come to the spiritual platform and engage in devotional activities, hearing and chanting, then we can experience what is real spiritual life. And we can see every morning the devotees are blissfully chanting the holy name and dancing, and they're experiencing the joy, the bliss of the soul. It naturally awakens without even any great effort, just by taking part in the program. So in this way, we encourage all of you, continue your Krishna consciousness. So today is the disappearance day of Devananda Pandit. Devananda Pandit was a great devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, described in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, how Devananda Pandit, as a young man, he was teaching Srimad Bhagavatam. And he was having classes on Srimad Bhagavatam. And young men were coming to him and learning Srimad Bhagavatam. But actually, Devananda Pandit, he was not yet really a devotee. Although he was teaching Srimad Bhagavatam, he did not really understand the meanings of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And he was teaching the Srimad Bhagavatam more on a material level. And he had students there. So it happened one day, Srivas Pandit went. Srivas Pandit was residing there, and he desired to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. So he went and attended the class of Devananda Pandit. And when Srivas Pandit heard the Srimad Bhagavatam, just hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam, it awakened ecstasy in the body of Srivas Pandit. And Srivas Pandit he was overwhelmed by ecstatic love for Krishna. And he was feeling ecstasy in the body. He could not control his different bodily emotions. The bhava was so great, it awakened in him. So these students who were there studying Srimad Bhagavatam, they thought, oh, this person, he is disturbing our class. And they came and they picked him up roughly and they dragged him out and put him outside. So Devananda Pandit sat there and he didn't say anything. He didn't say anything about it. Devananda Pandit, therefore, because he was the teacher, he got the reaction. Because he did not protect the devotee. He could not recognize the genuine symptoms of love which were there in the body of Srivas Pandit. And because he didn't do anything to stop his students from mistreating, Devananda Pandit got reactions for that. And so it happened one time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came there, and Devananda Pandit asked Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, please bless me. And Lord Chaitanya told him, I will never bless you because you are an offender of devotees. So Devananda Pandit, but he didn't get the mercy from Lord Chaitanya initially. But then, after some time it happened that Vakreshwara Pandit came there, and Vakreshwara Pandit was, Vakreshwara Pandit, he likes to chant and dance, and he will chant and dance for many, many hours. He was such a great devotee. So Vakreshwara Pandit was chanting and dancing, and there were many people around him, and they were disturbing his chanting and dancing. But Devananda Pandit came there, and he stopped the people from disturbing Vakreshwara Pandit. Devananda Pandit arranged to protect Vakreshwara Pandit so that he could chant and dance without being disturbed. So when Lord Chaitanya saw this, he was very pleased. He saw that Devananda Pandit is serving the Vaishnava. And so then he told Devananda Pandit that you have offended Srivas Thakur, and Srivas Thakur is a great devotee, and you have to get relief for that offense. You have to go to Srivas Pandit and beg forgiveness. So Devananda Pandit went to Srivas and he fell at his feet and he begged forgiveness, and certainly Srivas Pandit forgave him. So Devananda Pandit, his temple is there in Navadvip. When we go on parikrama in Navadvip, Goromandal parikrama, we often visit that place. It's a place where you can get forgiven for your offenses. Devananda Pandit is an example of a person who got forgiven for his offenses. So today is the disappearance day of Devananda Pandit. So we're remembering his activities. Are there any questions? Anyone? Okay, there are no questions, and we will finish here. Thank you. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki.